So, hello. Today is Wednesday, February 22nd. And shout out to my sister because it's their 31st wedding anniversary. I don't know if Amanda, if you're listening, we love you. Anyway, so here we are again at the Cancer Support Community. We're here at least bi-monthly and have been doing so for several years now, which is great. That we may actually this year go to a weekly class, but I'm just going to go with the flow until that actually occurs. And until that time, I'm just going to keep showing up on every second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. And my name is Jessica Lewis, by the way. I often forget to introduce myself, so this is me doing that. And not quite 20 years ago, I founded a company called Sculpt Your Life. And it's kind of an avant-garde company because as much as I look around out there, I never really see other companies that are doing what I'm doing. And I'm looking at a camera on a tripod, so I'm just going to talk about my work as if it's a tripod, like sitting on a bar stool that has three legs. You know how you can sit on a stool with three legs and one leg can be shorter than the others and you can still sit there, but if you tear one leg off of the stool, you can't sit on it anymore unless you happen to have amazing balance ability and you can ride a unicycle. I can't. I don't know why you want, I can't. So that's basically the premise of what I've been doing for, again, close to 20 years. So I'm a master personal trainer. I'm a certified nutritional counselor, and I'm accredited in a couple different styles of Tai Chi. But my favorite style of Tai Chi, in the one that I teach almost all the time, therefore, is called Tai Chi Cha. Cha is that third word. It's spelled Chih, and it's pronounced cha like chuck wagon. And what's really cool about Tai Chi Cha, there's lots of really cool things about it, but what I find particularly important about it is that of all the Tai Chi practices that you'll find when you go out there Googling and looking for Tai Chi classes, especially in the Western Hemisphere, you can find like 50 different kinds. It's the only one that's been qualified by some of our most important, or at least well-respected medical authorities, as nothing other than mindfulness in motion, right? So back to my philosophy on how to help people improve their health and well-being beyond measure sometimes, is pretty much any health and wellness goal, be it physical or metaphysical, you know, can be reached. This has been my observation, actually, both in my own life and in working with a lot of people, by simply improving the way you move, improving the way you eat, and maybe most importantly, improving the way you relax. And that's why I like to teach Tai Chi Cha more than all the other styles of Tai Chi that I'm familiar with and am certified to teach, because all the others basically are very slow-mo, and they're very meditative looking to the untrained eye. Tai Chi Chuan may look a lot like all the other styles of Tai Chi in the world, but all the other styles of Tai Chi have some sort of martial application. In essence, they're basically like karate in slow motion. And that's cool. If you have like a bad guy coming at you from over there, or maybe a sword or a fist or something, and so if the hand kind of slices by the eye and like a slow karate chop motion, and then the hand moves over there, and you'll see the practitioner's eyes are following that hand, that's a good sign that they're doing a Tai Chi practice that has martial application, because you never want to take your eyes off the bad guy or the sword, right? But when you're doing a similar move in Tai Chi Cha, you'll notice that the hand kind of slices, not slices, it slides by the throat or the face, like in a totally relaxed manner, almost like the hand is flowing through water without any effort. And the eyes don't follow the hand, because when you're doing Tai Chi Cha, it's more like you're the sky and the hands are kind of like the clouds that just pass by. You know, the sky never really changes, and the clouds come and go. And then sometimes they come back again. But the sky never really changes. It certainly doesn't get distracted by the clouds, right? Anyway, I digress. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a little moving meditation. Also, you might notice that today, especially if you've been here more than once, I'm not always in a chair. Today I'm in a chair. So I'm going to do a little bit in the chair, and I'm going to do a little bit standing too. Okay? And here's what I want us to all hold in our intention today while we're doing our Tai Chi Chuan practice. Think about this for a minute. The arc of history is extremely long, right? We tend to think of our lives as long, if they're 80, 90 years long or whatever, you know. But in reality, we are so little compared to the arc of history. But if you look at things from a big, big perspective, you'll notice that soft things always outlast hard things. And why is that? It's because soft things always find a way to move forward. Think about water, right? Think about a big, big hurricane falling on your house. And if you have any cracks in your house, water will always find its way in, right? Think about water rolling over a rock, right? Over time, even the softness of water actually wears down the rocks. If there's any cracks or crevices in the rock, the water always flows in and it makes those cracks and crevices bigger until one day you have a Grand Canyon, right? So flowing like water or being completely soft, or you could look at it as in another way as using the effort of no effort at all is the way we always say is the best way to do Tai Chi Chuan. And it's so relaxing to behave that way that we're actually mentally, um, purposefully deciding to move in the way the body moves when it's totally, utterly relaxed when you're doing Tai Chi Chuan. When you're using the effort of no effort and you're flowing softly and smoothly and continuously, you're making the mental decision to move the way the body naturally moves when it's totally relaxed. And what happens is the body gets relaxed, even if you didn't start that way. It's like magic, right? Sneaky mindfulness. Anyway, so let's get started. We'll do a little bit of actual good old-fashioned mindfulness, and then we'll do some movement first in the chair, and then we'll do it standing, and let's see how this goes, okay? So grab a chair if you've got one handy, preferably one with no arms, because many of the movements, when the hands drop down here, the arms of the chair might be in the way. If you can't find a chair with no arms, then you'll just modify the way you flow, and that's fine too. Okay. All right, now let's just sit in the chair for a moment. But what I want you to do is sit a little bit forward in the chair so that you're in charge of your own spine rather than leaning back against the chair. Okay, so go ahead and sit a little bit forward in the chair. And now I want you to just rethink the way you're sitting right now. Imagine that rather than the weight of your upper body pushing down the sit bones into the cushion of the chair, I want you to just imagine that your head is suspended, maybe by a marionette string, just right up to the heavens there. And the great puppeteer in the sky is up there holding you up. Right? And if the great puppeteer in the sky was holding your head up with a string, right, just how would your spine behave under your head? It would just hang down, right? Yeah. So just let your spine hang down as easily as it can. And when that's happening, just notice how the shoulders have a tendency to simply hang from their attachment site on your spine. Almost droop a little bit, right? Just feel that, notice that. And notice how your upper arms have a tendency to simply hang down from the shoulders. And then just notice how your hands are sitting on your legs. You can notice your tail, your sit bones touching the chair too, if you like. But since you're suspended like a puppet, like a marionette, maybe just visualize them just lightly touching the chair rather than pressing down into the chair, just lightly touching the chair. Now, I'll tell you what, since we're in a sitting position, let's all of us just notice the sensations of the hands resting on the legs for a few moments. I always try to, when I do mindfulness, I try to cast my attention towards something that's below the belly button because my mind is so monkey-like that if I think about something farther down my body, my energy flows there and my thoughts kind of follow a little bit. There's a little bit less thinking going on in my mind when I think about something down in the bottom half of my body. So let's just feel the hands resting on the thighs. Maybe feel the weight of your hands on your legs. Or maybe feel the fabric of your pants against your palms. And while we're doing that, I'm going to ring my singing bowl. The Buddhists would say I'm going to call the bell. And just let your attention hang out on your hands there for a minute, okay? And if your mind wanders, nothing in the world is wrong with you or your mind or anything. That's just the way minds roll. Just congratulate yourself for being mindful that your mind has wandered and just ask it to come on back to your hands, okay? Here we go. And let your attention come back to the room if it has wandered. Maybe it didn't. And that's okay. No. So we're going to do a little bit of Tai Chi Chuan in the chair. Just because, here's the thing. You don't have to be disabled to not be able to stand, right? I have a really good friend named Wendy, actually, who was walking out the back door one day to walk her dog and tripped and messed up her ankle big time and was unable to walk for a long time after that. So, again, you never know when you're going to get hit by a truck or slip off a curb or something and you can't walk. So, that's one reason to do Tai Chi Chuan in a chair. Another reason to do Tai Chi Chuan in a chair, though, is that I think in some ways it really informs the standing practice. So I'm a big believer in everybody at least trying it out every now and again. I think you will learn something about the standing practice, and I think the standing practice also teaches us a little bit about the seated practice. So here's the thing. We already said earlier that the best way to do Tai Chi Cha is with the effort of no effort at all, right? So for a moment, before we begin to move, I want you to think about a time in which you might have been sitting on an exercise ball. In the fitness world, we call them Swiss balls, right? So just think about a time or two when you were sitting on a Swiss ball And you know how you almost can't not sort of sway forward and back when you're sitting on a Swiss ball? It's harder not to gently sway forward and back when you're sitting on a Swiss ball than it is to just go with the flow, right? Because that's the nature of stability equipment, right? Is that it causes you to have to use your core muscles in order to stay completely stable or stationary. It's much easier to just move a little bit than it is to stay straight, all right? So think about that for a moment. And then in your mind's eye, I want you to just imagine that you are gently swaying backwards on the ball and you're going to feel your hands almost getting pulled off your thighs. Let them hang down here, palm out. And then just imagine that you're gently swaying forward on that exercise ball and swaying back. Nice. And swaying forward and swaying back. And here we are doing rocking motion. It's super easy, right? But people do say to me, people can make these movements pretty hard. If they think about them pretty hard, Tai Chi Chuck can feel hard. Or as Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live used to say, but that's just stinking thinking. So don't go there. Don't think too hard about it. But if you're confused about what's going on with the arms, maybe just imagine that you're sitting on a Swiss ball outside and it's a breezy day. And your arms are suddenly willow branches or maybe Spanish moss instead of arms. And the breeze just comes along from behind you and blows them up and then blows them back. Right. Just let your arms move in that way. Allow the movement to be soft and smooth and effortless and continuous. As you roll forward, so do the palms. As you roll back, so do the palms. And they don't stop, they just change directions and keep going. Nice. How about we do 2 more? And here's our last one. Nice. Just feel your body resting for a few moments. That's where all the magic happens in fitness, right? In order to grow a muscle, you have to work it out pretty hard, but it actually grows while you're resting. It's one reason why we have the little rest moments in between each one of the Tai Chi Chuan movements. Another really cool thing about that aspect of this practice is because we have little moments of motionlessness in between each movement, you don't have to do them in this particular order. This is just a suggested order. That's a huge distinction, actually, between Tai Chi Chuan and other styles of Tai Chi. Normally, there's a very specific and prescribed choreography in most martial Tai Chi practices. That means you have to move a certain way from the very first minute that you move all the way through the very last minute that you move, and it can be complicated and hard to learn, right? All right, so let's notice what's going on in the upper body when you're simply sitting on the chair in a similar manner to which you would be sitting on a Swiss ball. Just for a moment, put one hand on your belly, sort of halfway between your belly button and your groin, and the other hand on the sort of curvy part of your low back. All right. And let yourself just roll forward ever so slightly, or sort of drift forward the way you would on a ball. And then drift back. And then drift forward without using any muscles on your part. Just notice how the body continually makes these sort of micro movements when you're sitting on a ball. Unless you're working really hard not to move. This is what the body will do when you're sitting on a Swiss ball. So as you roll forward, see if you feel your groin ever so slightly tucking down. Now feel a little expansion in your belly here. Almost feel like your torso gets a little longer. And as you roll back, see if you notice your groin kind of tucks back up. There's like a contraction in your belly here, and your upper body kind of shrinks down a little bit. Let's feel that a couple times, rolling forward and back. Forward, expanding, back, contracting, forward, expanding, back, contracting. See what's going on under your backhand too. As you roll forward and the skin under your front hand expands, the small of your back gets curvier, right? And as you roll back and the skin under your front hand contracts a little bit, the small of your back kind of flattens out. It kind of expands. Yeah. So as one hand expands, the other contracts a little bit, or the skin under your hands. And then they reverse. And then they reverse. And then they reverse. Remember that when we're doing the standing practice, that's going to apply to what's going on in your legs as you glide forward and back. Let's do one more like this with our hands on our bodies and back. Now we're going to do bird flaps and swings. So put your palms very close together, like you were going to pray, only just a little space between them, and then drop them down. So they're about where your front hand was a moment ago. And just visualize yourself sort of drifting forward on that exercise ball. And the hands are getting out of the way of the expansion. That's all that's happening here. And again. And this time when the little bird wings flip out here, they're going to draw a little circle in the air. One little circle there, and then come back. So that's 1/3 of bird flaps its wings. The whole thing is 3 sets just like that. So let's do 2 more sets just like we just did. There's a little flip of the bird wings. Teeny weeny bird wings, not like sparrow's wings. No, they're more like sparrow's wings than condor's wings, right? It's mostly from the elbows down. And here's the circle. Good. Let's do one more set just like that. Here's the circle. And let's float back to rest. Nice. Feel your body resting. Good. Now there's a whole bunch of Tai Chi Chuan movements that are mostly forward back. We just did 2 of them, right? But there's a number of them where one foot is significantly further out than the other when you're standing, and the hands are drawing some sort of circle in the air. So let's do one of those here in the chair, and then we usually switch sides. When we do the other side, I'm going to stand up and show you how to do it standing. Okay? So let's do, just for argument's sake, let's do around the platter. Okay? And we usually start with the left foot out, no matter whether you're seated or standing. So I'm going to put my left foot out just ever so slightly. Mostly it's a metaphor more than anything else when you're doing the practice in your chair, because that way you'll remember which foot goes out first when you're standing. And just imagine there's sort of a round platter out in front of about your heart, right? And you're going to put your hands near the back of the platter as if you've got like a ball of energy, maybe about the size of that shower scrubby, under each hand. And the balls are sitting on the platter. Good. So as you not necessarily roll or use effort, but just drift forward on that Swiss ball, let your upper body expand the way you already know how, and it's going to push the hands out over the leg that happens to be out there. Okay, so here we go. Pushing the hands out there. And as you roll back and contract, it pulls them back. Yeah. Yeah. And we generally do 9 of each one of these moves on each side, but I'm going to do 6 just to keep it down to a Delaware. I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. I think this is 5. And we'll call this next one 6. And when we're done, we're just going to float back down to rest and take a moment to feel the body resting. And then we would do the other side, but I'm going to do it standing. Okay. So how does the body rest when you're standing? So the easiest way to do that, because we always say the best way to do Tai Chi Chuan is with the effort of no effort, right, is put your feet in sort of a V shape, whatever feels good to you, any way in which your heels might be a little bit closer than your toes, and let your knees be soft. So rather than locked and in the back, which is the way a lot of people stand, and for me, when I stand this way, I feel all of my weight in my heels. Just let them be a little bit soft. You might feel a very subtle tucking of the tailbone when this happens. But most importantly, what you're going to feel is your whole weight suddenly spreads out to the absolute outside margins of both your feet. And then remember when we were seated, our hands were on our thighs. So we want to rest the palms in a similar manner when you're standing. So with the arms just hanging down from the shoulders, because that's the easiest way for arms to be, right? Just lift the fingers. So the palms are going to be, somewhere about the same height as your hips. Because if you were seated, your hands would be on your thighs, right? And now for this, the other side of around the platter, we want to get this leg out there much farther than the left leg. So what's the easiest way to do that? It's actually very easy to let that leg get out there. Pretty far, actually. So here we go. We're going to sink down a little bit lower. And now we're going to let the body sort of drift as far away from this leg as it can. So now I have all of my weight in my left leg now. It's like my legs were 2 highball glasses and they were each half full with water, and I poured all the water from the right leg into the left leg. Now this one's empty. Okay. And now with no effort, I'm just going to extend this empty knee. And the heel is just going to land wherever it wants to land, depending on how tall I am or how long my legs are. And remember, here's the platter, right? So now as we move forward and back, we're just going to let all the weight, all the water that was in this leg pour into the front leg. And as soon as we get all the way up to the front and the back leg gets empty, we're going to turn around and reverse the process. And since this leg is sticking out there, the hands are going to move that way this time. Here we go. Nice. And you remember how when we were doing rocking motion in the chair, I said, no need to stop your hands, just let them change directions and keep going. That's what's happening here with the hands on the platter. Let's do one more. And when all of your weight is back in the back again, just stand up on that leg and you'll be able to float right back down to rest, right? Let's do around the platter variation, standing, okay? So let yourself sink down a little bit lower. Let all of your weight flow away from the leg that you want to get out there, right? And once this leg is totally empty, just extend the knee and the heel will drop down wherever it wants to land. It starts exactly the same as the move we just did, only there's going to be a slight variation in the hands for about a third of the platter. So here we go. Up, there it is. and then it's gone. And there it is again, and then it's gone. It's as if you suddenly have a ball of energy between your palms, and you just sort of show it the front edge of the platter and it drops off. I'm going to do 2 more here. And 6. Normally we would do 9. And rest. Nice. Let's do the other side here. Here we go. Now remember when we were talking about what goes on in the body when you roll forward and roll back in the chair, we talked about the groin kind of tipping down and then tipping back up again, and the whole upper body expanding a little bit and then contracting. So if you're kind of body conscious, you might notice that the same thing is happening when you're standing here, only it's a slightly bigger version of what was happening in the chair. This is 6. So we're going to flow back to rest. Nice. Nice. Let's do bass drum, and then we'll maybe switch gears and do some side to side moves. Okay. So here we go. We're going to drift away from the leg we want to get out there, and we're going to place the heel wherever it wants to be placed. The palms are going to be about shoulder width apart, facing each other. It's as if there's a big old high school marching band bass drum like strapped to your shoulders now, and your fingers are going to run around the outside rim of the drum. Here we go. Good. And you might even feel some cool stuff between your palms. Most people say they feel sensations between their hands when they're closer than this. But the truth is, whenever the palms face each other, you might feel all kinds of interesting stuff. Think about it as like when you bring 2 magnets close together, interesting things happen. Let's do 1 more. Feel yourself not moving for a moment. And let's do the other side. Remember, the quiet moments are when all the magic happens. But when you're doing the moving portions of Tai Chi Chuan, what you're really doing, both in a woo-woo way and a scientific way, is you're causing the energy that normally resides in your body to move more easily and more copiously. Let's do 1 more. And we're flowing back to rest. And when you're resting the body in between the movements, all that energy you just kicked up actually settles down in the marrow of your bones. So no wonder Tai Chi Chuan improves immunity, but a lot of Tai Chi Chuan practitioners tend to have very strong bones. Even if they were really dealing with osteoporosis, they often get some really serious gains in bone density. Let's do 1 more movement. I'll do half standing and half seated. Okay, we're going to do another forward back movement called push pull. The hands are going to come up to the shoulders, but we're not going to use any push and we're not going to use any pull. We're going to let the hands float. Okay, as you move forward, the hands float out. As you move back, the hands float back. Yeah, nice, nice. 1 more. And if we were to do the movement seated, here we would be resting. And then we'd place this foot out. Same exact movements, only a little bit smaller. That's all. Now here's the thing. A lot of research has been done on Tai Chi Chuan specifically. Geez, a lot of research has been done on Tai Chi. For Pete's sake, Harvard Medical School put out a book that's about 3 inches thick on all the medical benefits of Tai Chi in general. And of course, all that applies to Tai Chi Chuan. We're going to do 2 more of these. But lots of research has been done on Tai Chi Chuan specifically. And feel your body resting. And the research has been done not just on Tai Chi Chuan, but as it pertains to a number of really challenging chronic conditions, right? And what they've discovered is that even if you just do a little bit of Tai Chi Chuan every day, like maybe only 15 minutes, as long as you do it every day, it would be 100% ethical for me to promise you something really good is going to happen in your life. It'd be wrong for me to tell you what, but it's 100% right for me to promise you that something good will happen. So, just saying, if you want to learn more about the research, you should go to my website. It's all the hot links are right there on my website dedicated to Tai Chi Chuan. All right, let's do one of the side to side movements in the chair. I'm going to face you for this. So the movement principles in the side-to-side motions in a chair are the same. It's just instead of going this way, we're going this way. So we're still going to flow like water, which means we're going to use the effort of no effort, the softness and continuousness of water, and we're going to move in sort of a circuitous manner, in a rhythmic or circular way, right? The only difference is rather than sort of rolling forward and back, or sort of drifting forward and back on that exercise ball, we're actually going to let the whole upper body sort of rotate from side to side, from the sit bones all the way up to the collarbones. Okay, and you saw me doing a little bit of that earlier when I was talking about be the sky and let the hands pass you by like clouds. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that movement. That movement's called passing clouds. Everybody loves passing clouds. It's very recognizable. Every Tai Chi practice has some version of passing clouds. And usually it has the word cloud in the name too. So, all right. So here we are sitting in the chair, and we're not pressing down into the chair with all that weight of the upper body. We're just sort of almost floating over the chair, because remember, you're suspended over that chair. Just feel your sit bones lightly touching the chair. And then imagine the puppeteer up above he just turned his little, square that he's holding up there with all the strings hanging down. He rotated it a little bit to the side. And we're going to let the whole upper body rotate that way. Okay? Here it goes. Slightly. I didn't use a lot of effort. And there was no like wringing or twisting of the low or mid back there, because that can hurt, especially someone that has a back injury. We're letting the whole upper body just sort of rotate like a column, or like a stack of Oreo cookies. If you think about the spine, it kind of looks like a stack of Oreo cookies, right? So what you also probably notice is, although my head is still forward, my shoulders kind of rotated a little bit too. So whichever shoulder's in the back, I'm mirroring you, by the way, right now, since I'm facing, it's probably your left shoulder. Just put that hand up like it's going to high five the wall over there. Good. And then as we let the upper body rotate that way, it's going to pull the hands along for the ride. And as you rotate back, but just let your eyes stay forward. Because remember, you're the sky, and the hands are just passing you by like clouds. Sky doesn't change. It can notice the clouds, but it doesn't get distracted by them, and it certainly doesn't follow them. I'm going to do one more with just this one hand. I'm going to let this hand rest, actually, but as I rotate back the other way, I'm going to do it with what is probably your right hand now. I'm just reminding your body how to do the movements one hand at a time. And then we're going to mess it all together. Let's do one more just with your right hand. And now we're going to let your right hand rest. But as we rotate back to the left, up goes the left hand. And in will drop your right hand. In fact, let's go even slower. We're going to move slow motion, almost the way you do in a dream, right? We're actively causing the body to move in the ways that it does when it's really relaxed. And hopefully your whole body will begin to feel very relaxed. Good. Let's do 2 more sets of this. And here's our last set. And we're going to rest. That was really nice. Just feel your body resting. I'm going to do a very similar movement to that one, only I'm going to do it standing. Okay? Same movement principles. Right? This one's called carry the ball to the side. So instead of the hands moving independently, kind of like wax on, wax off, the hands are going to hold a ball between them. Kind of the way they did when you were doing carry the ball to the side. Okay? So how do we get ourselves into just the right position for carry the ball to the side? I'm going to move a little bit out of the way of my chair here. Here we are resting. We're going to let the body sink down a little bit lower. And we're going to shift all the way into this leg. It's probably your right leg. But then we're going to let the upper body rotate that way too. There, I just did. And the way you're going to know if this happened is you're going to notice that your shoulders rotated. You're going to feel that your pelvis kind of rotated a little bit too. Good. And whichever hand is attached to the shoulder in the back, that's the hand that's going to go up. And the other hand is just going to cover it like you have a little ball in your hands, about the size of that shower scrubby. Now, this leg, probably your left leg, most likely feels very, very empty. So you're just going to let the heel almost just sort of glide away from your other foot on the floor there. You almost don't even have to pick that foot up. There's not a lot of effort there. And the heel will just go where it wants to go. You just extended the knee. And the heel just dropped down. And now we're just going to shift as fully into that leg as we can, which is both a weight shift and an upper body slight rotation there. Good. Let's just do 6 whole rotations this way. So you get a muscle memory for this particular kind of movement. Normally we would do 3 sets of 3 going one direction, and then we would turn around and come back again. Nice. And on the last one, you wait till all the weight's in this leg, and you just stand up on it and you float down. Nice. Let's go back again. Let yourself sink a little bit, and shift, and rotate, and up go the hands, and out goes the empty heel, and then you move. Yeah. So just like when you were going forward back a moment ago, you're letting one leg fill up while the other empties, and then they switch. Nice. Let's do one more, and we're going to just glide up and glide down. Nice. Wonderful. Let's do a movement called working the pulley. I love this movement because it's sort of like a forward, back, and a side to side move. I'll do the first half standing and the second half seated. Okay? All right. So we're going to begin with your left leg out like we normally do. And since I'm facing you, I'm mirroring you. How do we get that left leg out there without any effort? You already know how. You're going to let yourself sink down a little bit, and you're going to let yourself shift as far away from that leg as you can. And then you're going to extend this empty knee, just like that. And the heel just drops down where it wants to go. Since that's the leg that's out there, this hand comes up to the shoulder, kind of the same place it was for push-pull. The other hand turns over, right? So you probably already figured out we're going to flow. We're going to let all the weight flow out of this leg into this leg, and the upper body and this hand are going to go forward. But here's where the side to side thing comes in. We're going to let the upper body rotate a little bit away from this hand, or you could say towards this elbow. And that's where the magic's going to happen. Okay, so let's do it together. Here we go. Yeah. And a lot of people say to me, well, I know how to do this. It's just like the Australian crawl, right? Swimming. And it's true, this is a movement pattern that almost all people know how to do, because if you drop somebody who doesn't even know how to swim into the water, they'll probably do something like this with their arms. Let's do one more. And when you get back to the middle, you just wait till all the weight is in one of your legs. Float down. That's right. Good. I'm going to turn my chair a little bit more towards you so I can do the movement facing you. So now we're going to put what would be your right leg ever so slightly out, and that's the hand that's going to go up. Turn the palm over. Okay, here we're going to do it seated. You're going to see it's the same thing, only just a little bit smaller. Nice. But here's the big distinction between working the pulley and swimming. You know how when you're swimming, you're slicing through the water. You're actually using a lot of effort, right? But again, here we are just moving slow motion as if we're in a dream. Nice. And the hands are just flowing through the air, almost like they're encountering some resistance. And here's our last one. And the easiest way for them to flow is like this, if they're hitting thick fog or something like that. Just feel the body resting. Really nice. Nice. Can you see how easy it is to do the movements in a chair, but also really the same, just smaller? The research is also quite profound that if you can't do the movements standing with very little modification, try them seated, just as powerful a practice. What if you can't even do it that way? Just visualize the movements. Again, the research states very clearly, even just visualizing yourself doing the movements can rend some very profound changes in one's life, right? So again, this must be the easiest possible way to make improvements in your health. I can't think of anything that's easier than this. Let's do 6 healing sounds. I could talk forever about 6 healing sounds. There's a very clearly prescribed breathing technique with this movement, but you know what? It would take too long for me to explain it now, and I want y'all to get a feel for it. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to do the first half standing. I'll do one, never mind, I'm just going to do the whole thing standing. Here we go. So here we are resting. And I'm mirroring you. So we're going to start with your left hand and your left leg going forward. Don't even worry about the sounds. I'll do it for both of us. Here we go. Both hands. Right now we're going to sweep to this side. Nice. Let your empty right leg flow forward. And now both hands. And we're going to flow back to your right, sideways. We're going to do the whole movement pattern again. Good. Again. Nice. You know what? I am going to sit. Let's do it again. Good. Here we're going to flow continuously, side to side. Nice. And rest. Feel your body resting. Very nice. Very nice. Let's do two last little movements for today. I'll do them both standing and seating. We're going to do light at the top of the head, light at the temple. It's a two-part move. So I'll do the first half standing. And joyous breath. I'll see if I can do both parts standing. Let's see. We'll see what happens. So here we are, light at the top of the head, light at the temple. We're just going to scoop up a little bit of chi and bring it all the way up to the top of the head. Here, I'll stand sideways a little bit. You'll be able to see this a little better. We're just going to let the body drift slightly backwards and then slightly forwards as we lengthen the knees, and that causes the expansion to happen, and the hands separate almost like windshield wipers. Back, forward, back, forward. Good. Now, while you're in neutral, feet-wise, you're going to let your hands kind of pull your own energy up and out of your head, at the crown of your head. It's like you're mixing your energy with the cosmic soup up there for about 6 seconds. And then you're going to hold for about 6 seconds. And then you're just going to drift backwards, drift forwards. You're just going to let the knees be soft back here, and then lengthen them slightly. On the third one, the hands are going to rotate. You're going to kind of fold the energy in on yourself and rest. Good. Let's do the second half in the chair. Here we go. Letting the hands come up to the temples. And here we go. It's like we're drifting back on the Swiss ball, drifting forward. Good. Good. Now mix forward for about 6 seconds. And then hold for an equal length of time. And then we're just going to kind of drift back and drift forward. You're going to feel that natural contraction, natural expansion here. One more time. And fold the energy in on yourself and rest. Just feel your body resting. Nice. Good. Let's do joyous breath. I'll stay in my chair for just one of the 3 repetitions. In many ways, I think joyous breath is sort of like rocking motion with effort, but not a lot of effort, just a slight amount of, like more breathing effort than anything else. But that's certainly not muscular effort, right? So here we go. We're just sitting here as if we would for doing rocking motion. And we're just going to kind of drift backwards a little bit on that Swiss ball as we, the hands are going to come down here. And we're going to use a breath in the back of your throat. Is the way it would sound if you had your mouth open. Well, with your lips closed, it sounds I don't know if you can hear me. Kind of the way a shell sounds when you hold it up to your ear and you feel like you can hear the ocean in it. So here we go. And then you're going to roll forward as the hands come up to the shoulders and they're going to turn over, and you're going to use that special breath again, sort of in 4 pushes. Here we go. And down here, you totally relax. So here's what it would look like if we were standing. We'd be down here, and then we come up. You'll stand sideways. And then we'd flow back to rest. And just rest. And just feel your body resting for a moment. Good. Now, whenever we end a practice, we usually do this 20th move. But in reality, it's not a movement, it's a pose. The very last movement in the Tai Chi Chuan practice is called cosmic consciousness pose. And it's the only thing that we do in the practice only on one side. So I really don't mirror it very often because it feels kind of weird to my body. I'm so accustomed to doing it with my left heel propped up on my right ankle. So that's what we're going to do. Here we are resting. Most importantly, you've found a way for your knees to be soft enough that you really feel your feet touching the ground. And you're just going to lift your left heel up and just drop it down lightly on your right ankle. If you're seated, you haven't done a thing with your lower body. Just leave it where it is. And then all of us together, either seated or standing, are going to let the hands rise up to about the height of your shoulders. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, that's effort. But here's the thing. It's not a lot of effort. And if it feels like effort, just imagine you're resting your forearms on a high invisible countertop, or again, you could think of the marionette, theory. Think of the puppeteer in the sky, just lifted your elbows and he's holding your thumbs and your elbows up with a couple of little strings, right? Just feel your body resting here. The fingertips overlap, and the left hand is the one that's closer to your body right now. It's the same set of fingers on the side of the body with the knee that's sticking out. And we're just going to hang out here for a few moments and just feel the body resting. And then we're just going to roll back down to rest, standing rest. And remember that just because a stream may appear to not be moving, there's always a lot of movement going on in that stream, right? Even when the body is outwardly motionless, it doesn't mean that you really are totally stagnant, right? There's a lot of motion going on inside the body, under the skin. So let's do our second little set of mindfulness right here. Standing if you like, or if you're seated, that's fine too. Just locate a spot somewhere south of the belly button to focus your attention on. It could be the same spot as before or a new one. I'm going to call the bell, and your whole job until I call you back with another bell is just let your awareness simply become aware as best as it can on some spot that you have chosen. Here we go. Go ahead and let your attention come back to the room if it has gone anywhere. And if your eyes were closed, if that happened by mistake or on purpose, go ahead and open them back up. Ah, nice. That was a really great practice. I really enjoyed playing around with you today. So I invite you to come back every second and fourth Wednesdays at noon. If you are a cancer patient, a cancer not survivor, but thriver, I like to think, or a cancer caregiver, you are totally entitled to be here live. Just reach out to my amazing supervisor here at the Cancer Support Community. Her name is Erica Narducci, and she will help you get yourself into class a couple times a month. And I can be here with you and not just talking with you online. On the other hand, if you'd prefer to keep zooming into the stream, please feel free. I'm always happy to have any and all people here, either live or virtually. Again, my name is Jessica Lewis. The name of my company is Sculpt Your Life. You can find me very easily if you just Google me. And what we did today is called Tai Chi Cha. And I hope that you really enjoyed exploring the power of softness today, because that's really what this is about. I have worked as a personal trainer. I worked with a lot of high level athletes who were really dedicated to working hard. You know, when they added Tai Chi Cha into the mix, it, in some ways, not only did their health improve, but their sports performance really improved. I also work with a lot of veterans. I'm the only teacher in Delaware, actually, who's part of a federal program called Tai Chi for Veterans. And I've got a lot of people that are being referred to my classes from their doctors because they have really severe chronic injuries. And you know what? Soldiers are dedicated to being very soldier-like. And the power of softness is often quite profound in terms of chronic pain and anxiety and mental health diagnoses. Softness is often very profound. So thanks again for coming today, and I really hope to see you again real soon. Take good care. Bye bye.